Hello, 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 everyone. It's Patricia Hayes here with Coffee Time Career Chat. Yes, I am still not in my natural habitat and I'm making adjustments on the go. You know how it goes, right? So it may be a little tiny bit noisy because, we're out in the open with nature. But we'll make it quick and get to the point so that you can get what you need to start off your week. If this is your first time joining me, hello, it's Patricia Hayes. I am your executive advisor, career empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And I am on the road this week. I've been taking my daughter to get started in college halfway across the country in California. So, thus the adjustments on the fly as we go along. And so, I really appreciate everyone taking a little break and allowing me to get started a little bit later than usual here because, it's a 2-hour time difference from where I'm normally doing things. And it was a long day and my birthday yesterday. So thank you for all of the well wishes that everyone has been sending me. I really appreciate it. It was super, super great. So to jump in today, we're talking about leveraging your networking opportunities for growth. And this is really important to note because a lot of times people will just use those relationships that they build, but they don't know what to do with them in order to move themselves forward and to actually grow. And so that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. The first point that I want to make sure that, or clarifying point, I want to make sure to lay out there is that leveraging is not manipulation or misuse. Okay, those do not mean the same thing. Leveraging does mean like you see something, you acknowledge it, and they're like, how can I use that in order to literally get you to the next point, right? But in a very genuine, authentic way, not one where I'm literally just manipulating a situation or using someone just to get what I want without any context for how it can grow and be used in a much more let's see, what's the word I want to use? In a much more effective way that maintains long-term growth and maintains long-term relationships. So think about it that way. If what you're going to do is in some way going to potentially abuse the relationships that you have, that is not what you want to do. So we want to make sure that you minimize that. Okay. So the first thing that we want to make sure we talk about is that focusing on maintaining a healthy network. A nurtured network is a healthy network. It is a successful network. And I want to make sure that that's what you're doing as opposed to trying to manipulate things or making sure that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? If you're focusing on building and maintaining a healthy network, that is what will get you where you need to be for the long term for growth purposes. Okay. You cannot get to where you need to be without maintaining and keeping a healthy network. So that's the first thing we want to make sure that we focus on. The second thing is you want to make sure that you're consistent engagement, that you have consistent engagement in order to be able to effectively leverage what you're doing. All right. If you're not consistently engaging in what it is what you need to be doing for your professional career, then that's going to be problematic because we've already talked about before that those inconsistencies are what will keep people from trusting you and keeping in touch with you because they're like, we really don't trust what she's doing. Those are my nephews going in. So as we said, I'm just adjusting on the fly. But if you're doing that, if you're being consistent, that will help you long term for, again, leveraging the relationships that you need because people will have built up that relationship with you. You will have some consistency in how you address and how you deal with your network that you've been nurturing all along. And that will help you. So, for example, I know that there are times when I've had something come up that I wasn't expecting, and I'm like, I may have to call, let's just say I may have to call Heather and be like, Heather, I've got this thing that came up. What can I do? Or, how can, is there something you can help me with to make sure that I can fulfill the obligation or to meet the obligation in a better way. Okay. Well, guess what? That relationship with Heather only works, and my call to her about that only works if I've been engaging with her regularly beforehand. Okay. Because when you call people out of the blue, unless it's a 20-year relationship, most of the time that doesn't work. People are kind of suspicious. They don't trust you. They're like, what is really going on here? And they may feel like, is she just trying to use me to get to the next level? Okay. So consistency in what you're doing and how you're reaching out to people. Remember, if you've heard me teach this in any kind of way, I have this whole system about about tiering your contacts. And that just basically means that you recognize where you are with each of those. And then you say, okay, these are the folks I'm probably talking to once a week, once a month right now, because maybe you're working on a project with them. And so it requires a lot of engagement. Or perhaps you've got folks that you're now like, I talk to them once a quarter, once every 6 months, even once a year. Okay. And you make sure that you stay in contact with those people in that way. This is super important because it doesn't matter if your consistency is once a year or once a quarter. It's the point that you're doing it on that regular basis. But because people know, I know that, like I said, yesterday was my birthday, right? So there were people that, it was great and it was fantastic, but there were literally people that I was getting messages from that I hadn't heard from in years. And it was great, right? But they weren't asking me for something. They were reaching out to acknowledge a celebratory moment. And I will remember that. Right? It's just a matter of, it's like, oh my gosh, yes. If they were to call me next week and say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about something, I would be like, yeah, sure, because I will have just remembered that. It's those types of touches that matter. Even if it's a message through LinkedIn to wish someone well, to say congratulations on your work anniversary, whatever it is, be consistent. If you're checking out and just saying, hey, I'm just checking in on you. I haven't talked to you in a while. Just wanted to see how things were going. Let you know I'm available if you need some help or need, to talk, or just we just want to chat. Those are the things that you need to do on a consistent basis with your core portions of your network, and then just keep going. Okay. Building out, keep nurturing, keep being consistent. And those are the things that when the time comes, you will be able to leverage those relationships to get to the next thing because they will be established. The third point that I really wanted to get to here is that every experience is not worth leveraging. Man, yes, did I just say that? Yes, I did. Every experience is not worth leveraging. Okay, it's not worthy of leverage. So what does that mean? Well, just because you have a great experience doesn't mean it's something that you need to say, okay, how can this be utilized to get to the next goal? Because sometimes you may have 4 or 5 things come up at once and you just don't have the bandwidth in order to do that. You have to pick and choose. Okay. Trust me, I have tried it. I've done it where you're trying to do too many things at once and you either get burnt out, you get exhausted, or you drop the ball on something. We don't want any of those things to happen. All right. So if you have multiple opportunities, or let's say it's only 1 or 2, but you're like, that may not be the right thing to leverage for where I'm trying to go. Like, is it worthy of that? Here are some tips to make that decision. One is does it have the greatest impact? Choose what has the greatest impact. Okay. So if you have an opportunity that, let's say speaking, y'all know I do a lot of public speaking. So let's say it's a public speaking opportunity. And if I go and I speak at that, and I'm like, okay, how do I want to leverage this for future growth? So sometimes when I do major speaking engagements, I may give an incentive to the attendees afterwards, right? That may include a free piece of content, some access to me for a limited time or something like that. But I can't do that every time. Because number one, it's only me, right? And there's only one of me. There's only so much time that I can give personally, and or whether or not depending on the content that I'm offering up as a bonus or as an incentive, whether or not I'm actually going to do that. Okay, so here's the thing. What's of the greatest impact? Do I do that for something where I'm only speaking to, like, 10 people and it's got a limited audience, or do I do that for the event that's got 200 people in attendance or potentially and even more? And so depending on what it is I'm trying to do and what opportunities I know are lying ahead in the future, then for me, it may be the 200-person thing because maybe only 10 people will respond, right? And when you do that, what can happen is it can feed the next opportunity. This is exactly something that happened to me for this summer, right? I spoke at an event that was a large event, had several hundred people to attend. And then as an incentive at the end, I said, hey, FYI, I have this networking challenge that I'm launching. I would love to invite anyone who connects with me through LinkedIn. So again, it starts limiting, but if they reach out to me, I will be happy to share that with them at no cost. And so that's how I was able to get a beta testing for my networking challenge. And then when I went on with that, then also there were people who contacted me saying, hey, I'd love to talk to you some more about some opportunities for some work, for some coaching that I'm looking to involve myself in. So you see how that happened, right? So I utilized an opportunity that I had, and then I gave an incentive. All right. And then when people responded to it, that allowed me to grow and have some impact on more people who will share and keep it going. Right. Because now I have another speaking engagement that I got from speaking at that event. And that's greatest impact, the potential for it. All right. So that's definitely one way to think about. Which gets me to the other, which is if you get a lead to the next level opportunities, right? So they kind of feed off of each other. Greatest impact could be purely numbers, or it could be who's in the room. So it doesn't have to be who's, the greatest numbers, but if you have a very influential person in the room, maybe that's the opportunity that you leverage. And then the second thing is that if it leads to next level opportunities, okay? So I shared that example, kind of had two things in one. Right? Because there was someone in the room who could give me access to another opportunity, as well as reaching a group of people who were willing to engage and to explore my services even further. All right. When you leverage, make sure that remember that leveraging requires focused work. You can't do that for everything. That's how it started off. You have to prioritize. And sometimes if you get the opportunity, maybe you can step back and you'll be able to go back and leverage something that you weren't able to leverage right then. A lot of times, it's in the moment, but every once in a while, it's possible to be able to step back, maybe make a call, send an email, send a text message, and be able to re-engage with someone. So you can say, hey, this came up during this time. I wasn't able to do that at that time. I didn't have the capacity, but I would love to revisit. Okay, I've done that as well, right? From an engagement I spoke with, and I knew that person was busy right afterwards. And so I just dropped some notes, to them afterwards saying, hey, whenever you get a chance, I would love to chat with you about what other opportunities that we can facilitate moving forward. And guess what happened? It took about a month or so, maybe even a little bit longer, because that was an event that I spoke at in June. The person followed up with me. I think it was just this month. So it took about 6 weeks, but because I had put that out there and they were like, yes, I'm sorry, I hadn't had a chance to get back with you, but let's get on the phone. Let's talk about what other things are possible. And so we had that conversation, and I'm building towards another event I'll be able to speak with this organization in the spring. Okay. So this is that whole building forward and getting those opportunities. So there's things that have happened over the course of this summer, over the last 3 months, that have been leveraged to create opportunities for me to speak, not just in the fall, but also into the spring, which means I'm getting more visibility, more exposure to more of my ideal clients and the people that I want to work with. And that has been fantastic. Okay, that's what I want you to think about. You don't have to be an entrepreneur with your own business to utilize this technique and this tactic. Okay, if you are a working professional in whatever area, these are the same types of things. When you're reaching out, when you're attending those business meetings, those business conferences, those opportunities where people that you need to know and that you need to develop relationships with, that you take those opportunities to say, okay, I've met with them in this group. Do I reach out now? Who do I reach out to first? And you do that, and then you start to facilitate the growth of that opportunity, the growth of that conversation to something that will be beneficial for you and for others. Because remember, every time you extend up and out in your network, you are also able to extend a hand back down into your network to help someone else. All right. So when you're expanding and growing your network, that also means you're expanding and growing the network of those who you have relationships with. When you think about it in those terms, it is extremely powerful. It's so powerful to think about, hey, this is that whole part when I say this is not just about you, because it's not. When you do it correctly, when you're consistent, when you nurture your relationships, you're not just building your own professional network and relationships, you're helping to build out the relationships and the network of those around you, of those in your network as well. Okay, so those are some tips and strategies for leveraging your network opportunities for growth. I'd love to hear from you if you have any questions, concerns, like, I don't know, I need to talk a little bit more about that. Feel free to reach out. You can absolutely reach out to me. Let's see if I can get it. I don't know that I will be able to. Oh, see, there were some comments. Hey, Talisha. And I will put my web address in there, patriciavhayes.com. And if you go there, you will be able to send me an email. It'll go to my general email, and you can send me an email with questions or some follow-up or something like that, and or if you want to set up a consultation just to talk about what it is you're doing. Okay, we can do all of that. I love to talk to you about it, follow up with you, figure out what else we can do, and get you going to building out your network in the way that works best for you. Okay. All right. That's what I'll have for you today from sunny California. I look forward to catching up with you again soon. Don't forget to check out Wednesday's series. Wednesday is the pre-recorded coffee chat where we are finishing up the Redefining Superwoman series. That has been a very popular one. And so I'm looking forward to having that finished out with you and for you on Wednesday. Okay, take care, everyone. Look forward to following up with you soon. Talk to you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.